episode 22 of the BlokeBusters podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Paul.
And today's date is July 31st, 2013. Today we're going to be discussing the film The Wolverine.
All right.
Take it away, Paul.
Well, let's just start off with Brian taking a drink.
And then bang, bang. Sure, yes. All right.
And then after that, I will just say if you want to contact us about anything, you can always do it on our Twitter page, at BlokeBusters, on Facebook at .com/BlokeBusters. We now have a new website.
We do.
Which is up and running, not necessarily going to be staying as it is, but we're going to be fiddling with it over the next month or two, probably longer than that, knowing myself, and trying to get it good. It basically just blokebusters.webs, that's webs.com. And hopefully at some point in the next year or two I will end up just getting the blokebusters.com domain. But
it's nice to have goals. Yeah.
No promises right now, though.
I'm just happy to have an outlet for my ranting in a literary form, I guess.
Yeah, because the rants are good fun to listen to, but I'm sure you have more than you actually bring.
Can't wait to type in all caps. This is how angry I am.
Nice.
Okay.
And, of course, there's our emails at blokebusterpodcast@gmail.com or contact@blokebusters.me.
Get it? Got it? Good.
Yeah.
All right. Down to the business at hand.
Indeed. So, The Wolverine. Well, there's not much you can really say about this film.
I guess we're done. All right. Thanks, folks.
But no, it's any film starring Hugh Jackman dressed scantily. Pretty much fill in the plot point from there, you know.
The Wolverine, the musical.
Yeah, if you absolutely have to go with
Les
the description.
Wolverine.
Summoned to Japan by an old acquaintance, Wolverine becomes embroiled in a conflict that forces him to confront his own demons. Wow, that's actually a terrible synopsis of the film.
I don't know. I would have went with Karate Kid Part 2 with the Wolverine.
Yeah.
It was very much like, I don't know, full,
Yeah.
you got the Japanese girlfriend, you know?
Yeah, definite parallels.
Karate tournament, I'm sure there was a karate tournament in there, just, in the deleted scenes.
Yeah, he walks past a karate tournament.
Yeah, exactly,
They should have thrown that in.
Yes, I would like our intro music to be The Glory of Love by Peter Cetera from Chicago. I don't know if you know the tune, but it's quite fantastic from the 80s, but it's, in the Karate Kid 2.
Yeah.
Some of you know what I'm talking about. Most of you don't. You're the sane ones. Okay. All right. Sorry. Derailed us. Let's get... Who the hell was in this damn movie, Paul?
Alright, well, the director of said film was James Mangold. And going into the money figures quick, budget of $120 million, and as of, I think yesterday, it has made $150,655,815.
Contributed 11 of those.
Ooh. I think myself and my wife were 12.
That's bullshit, sir.
Well, we managed to see a matinee, so...
Yes.
Alright, so, who's in this film? Well, there's a young fellow by the name of Hugh Jackman.
Huge arm man, as he should have been called in this.
There's, as of course, Logan or Wolverine, whichever you want to call it. He doesn't want to call himself Wolverine for most of this film, so, whatever.
Or a homeless caveman, or,
And we have, as Maniko Yoshida, Teo Okamoto. I'm going with what I think it's supposed to sound like rather than genuine there.
They were saying her name so fast, I was like, sounding like Mako, or make it, they weren't even saying the R in there, but whatever. Very cool. Yeah, okay.
Well, no, I'm saying right there, T-A-O.
Oh, that one, Tao. Her real name,
No, that'll be a different one. And then, of course, Yukio, a first-time actress, apparently, of Rila Fukushima.
And she's your classic schoolgirl, Japanese girl.
Well, maybe. I would say she looks older than your average schoolgirl.
Well, as far as attire,
Yeah, probably. And I've only got two others written down. The other guy I have written down would be the other main guy in it, despite the fact that he doesn't get the most screen time. It's the former fiance or former boyfriend.
Yes, Pretty Boy Ninja.
Yes.
Yes.
So the character's name is Kanuchio Harada, and it's played by a guy called Will Young Lee.
Okay.
Yeah, he wasn't too bad. And then there's Dr. Green or Viper, and I actually know nothing about this character outside of this film, so I can't really bring that much of a balanced argument to whether or not they did well. Svetlana Kodchenkova. Kodchenkova, yeah. And I'm just going to spell it Khodchenkova. Make with that what you will.
I hope she didn't pick that as her Twitter.
Right.
She's wasting a lot of characters there.
Yeah. At Svetlana Kodchenkova, hi.
Hi, I'm out of characters.
And there were a couple of cameos, but I'm sure we'll get to
that. Yes. Oh, I guess we can mention Famke Jean Grey. She appears quite sporadically throughout the film.
Yeah, Famke Jensen.
In his dreams or his subconscious. Whatever.
Yeah, whichever. It's never fully gone into, and technically, given what her powers were, she could actually still just be in his head. Like, much along the same lines as Patrick Stewart's character. You know, she could be around and actually being there doing this stuff to him. Why she would want to, I don't know, but that's what was going on.
Or like John Malkovich, you could be in his head, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite as fun doing it that way.
You don't think he has a little door? Wolverine has a little door into his brain? Okay.
Probably not. Would you want to go in there? If that was the case?
If I get to be Wolverine, hell yeah. Well, as long as I'm not dying Wolverine and I'm super healy.
Oh, yeah.
You know, yeah.
Alright. Well,
so, I don't know.
Well, one thing I will say quick before we get going, we are recording in a different location this time, so if you hear any bumps or knockings or any other various sound, blame that.
Mm-hmm. We're at a famous bakery chain, which I may or may not work at.
Yeah, possibly.
Possibly.
And I may or may not have worked at. I don't know. Take from that what you will.
Yes, exactly.
Alright, so where would you like to start with this film?
You know, what were your thoughts overall? I mean, you know what? I wish I had done my X-Men homework before going to see this.
Right.
Because I was lost on some of the references, and it's been years since I've seen Last Stand, mostly because I think Last Stand is a pile of poop.
Are you saying Vinnie Jones didn't make that film better?
I'm saying he didn't make it worse. I mean, it had its moments, but I just thought it was, yeah.
It was another one of those films.
The first X-Men I loved, X2 was okay. Much like The Matrix, it followed a downward trajectory in its sequels. And then even like First Class I wasn't too crazy about.
I liked it.
It was alright, but even Origins I thought was pretty shitty. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm of the opinions that Origin was not as good as this film.
But this was, I will say, the most I've enjoyed it in X-Men films since the first.
Okay.
Since the first. I would put it in between, if I'm ranking them, the first and the second film.
Alright, okay.
It's not without its problems. As a lot of superhero films, which I think I've gone over, I have some problems with. Much like time travel, I don't know.
Right.
But I don't know, I enjoyed it for the most part. I liked I was wondering if I was going to be interested the whole time with just the Wolverine and just really knowing no other principal characters or actors for that sake. Like, no familiar faces, no quips with Cyclops,
No, yeah. Well, they vanished after the second film as well, didn't they? Like, he was only around for, 10 minutes in the third one?
But, I enjoyed, Wolverine stealing his girlfriend. That was kind of
Yeah.
But I don't know. What was your overall take on it?
Well, I enjoyed it. I thought it dragged a little bit. Not necessarily the fault of the actors. I just thought they were trying to tell too much with the story, and they almost gave a little bit too much exposition here and there. And I mean, that's just me. Most of the time I go to these films, the X-Men films, I want to go and see some good acting, because most of the actors in the X-Men films are actually quite good actors, and some fairly good fight scenes. And again, there were a couple of good fight scenes in it, and there was also a bit of an odd fight scene. I class the last fight scene as just kind of all over the place and not really...
Well, which one was that?
I mean the
with the... Yes.
Yeah.
With,
and again, we'll get to that. I have a couple of notes on that one. But, yeah, I thought they were going too far into slowing the film down to give you background, because the way these films work best is slow, fast, slow, fast, slow, fast, and this was kind of slow, fast, slow, fast,
slower, slower, lots of exposition, more exposition.
Yeah.
What is Wolverine dealing with in his head? Like,
but I'm all for exposition done well, but this was exposition done too much, I think.
Yeah, it was what, I think runtime was 2:16, and it could have been 2 easily. Yeah. I think 2 hours. Could have had it wrapped up in 2, but not the biggest complaint I have.
No, yeah.
By any means, but
well,
I don't know. Where would you like to go?
If I had to rank it again, I would probably put it on par with the second film.
United.
Yeah. I will say, going back briefly, the X-Men First Class, I enjoyed it, but I had a few problems with it because I didn't go into it imagining it was going to be a complete reboot, which it kind of has to be, even though they are then going to tie it in.
Like a prequel, yeah.
Because at the end of X-Men First Class, you see that Xavier has just been hit by a stray bullet and is now paralyzed, and he's, in his early 20s? And yet, in the third X-Men film, you see that Xavier and Magneto, while not young, are still quite old. They turn up in a car, they both stand up and walk in. Like, he still has the use of his legs. And they completely ignored that going with this new one. And after I sort of got used to it, I thought, okay, well, they're going with a reboot. And now I hear that they're actually going to be mixing the two together somehow, because there's time travel involved in the next one, so they're going to see each other. And
time travel.
So.
Looper again.
Well, hopefully they've got a good director to go in with.
Hopefully it makes more sense than the Back to the Future rules. That's all I ask. But, yeah. I don't know. At least, First Class, I would say, was better than Dumb and Dumber as far as prequels goes.
Yes,
I have a roommate that will disagree completely with that, but he is also an idiot. No. Yeah. So... as far as, looking at characters as they're younger, it wasn't wholly terrible, but, it seems like, I always watch films and I draw parallels to others. I can't help it, because I have such a vast catalog of viewing history. I'm like, well, this is a lot like Rambo. Caveman in the woods, guy in the woods, doesn't want to connect with society anymore, hiding from who he is, so that was like the first part of the film was Rambo, for me. And then we got into a Little Karate Kid Part 2. He meets the pretty Japanese lady.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder where this is going to go. Yeah. It's kind of like, I know I'm not asking for a mystery when I see X-Men, but it was, once you see all the chess pieces on the board in this film, it's kind of easy to see how it's going to play out. And I know you figure things out quickly in films.
Yeah.
And I don't, but even this, I'm like, pretty clear, even... the surprise at the end. I was like, I know who's in there.
Well, I would actually like to go into that quickly. I don't recall exactly how it comes up in the film, but there is a line said in the film by one of the characters about someone faking their death.
Really?
And this is about half an hour before they get to the scene where you find out who is inside the armor.
Yes, the adamantium mecha warrior.
The
ninja.
Deus Ex Machina armor.
Deus Ex adamantium.
Because that suit does everything.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I want to get one on eBay if I can.
Yeah, including something that they go into absolutely none of the science of.
The heating up the blade or what?
Well, no. Okay. I mean, that I can understand how that would work, although then when the Wolverine is able to make that work with the two, whatever.
Yeah.
But the whole thing of being able to extract a mutant power by simply drilling into their bone marrow and apparently nothing else. All it was some drills that went into his bones. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, oh no, he's losing his healing powers and this person in the suit is getting it. Okay. Sure.
Sure, and he's getting younger and younger and younger, yeah.
Which went away
and he gets
fairly
punched
quickly.
And he gets punched a few times and he gets older and older.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah,
I don't think we're meant to, have an understanding of that.
Well, no, but given how they went to such great length to explain that the grandfather nearly bankrupted the company by amassing all this adamantium to build this thing.
Mm-hmm.
They then don't go into any detail about the two main other parts of this armor, which are giant swords that heat up and can slice through adamantium, and drills that can take away mutant powers. And it's like, oh, this doctor's been working on it. That's about it. That's
Very
it.
shiny suit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah. In case you haven't figured it out and haven't seen the film and don't care about spoilers, the grandfather who dies at the beginning of the film is in fact...
He didn't die?
No, he did not.
Aww.
And they never actually go into any detail again about what exactly happened, other than he faked his death, but everyone saw him and thought he was dead, and he's still alive despite the fact that he was very clearly about to die. So,
very sick for a long time.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if he was acting for a long time that he was sick, like really committed to the bit. Like,
yeah.
Bring me some water. Ham sandwich too. But, yeah.
Every time people leave the room, he just gets up and goes for a walk.
It's like Kaiser Soze just straightens out his foot and starts walking down the sidewalk normally. Yes. I don't know. But, yeah, obviously, I mean, he had some sort of arrangement with Viper.
Yeah.
With his, sexy oncologist or whatever she was.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that character, so I can't say whether or not it was
and folks,
too true to it.
Despite what you might think, a woman pulling off her skin, not as hot as you think. Rather upsetting for me. I'm like, yeah. Like, just like, runs her fingernail up her back, and then like down her front of her face, and then she's bald. Yeah. I don't know.
Which she then... Was she not bald the next time you saw her?
I don't know.
I didn't think she was bald at the very end. Maybe she was.
How does Wolverine's hair grow?
Yeah, that's never really gone in.
Like, much like Superman, like, okay, at least Lois and Clark, like our friend Dustin said, he laser beamed his beard in the mirror or whatever. But Wolverine, I don't know, it's like, he had the big bushy caveman beard, and then
they shaved that.
It's shaved down. I just don't understand, like, if he's eternal...
Technically, his hair should grow at the normal rate. However, there is that shot once he's been burned.
Exactly.
That's the thing. His hair then grows back to what it was.
Exactly. That is my problem. That was where I was going with it. And thank you.
Yeah.
Because, otherwise, I'm fine with that because it should grow normally. But shouldn't he be hairless until all of his hair can grow at a normal rate again?
Yeah. If they're going to go with one rule, which it appears that his hair grows at the normal rate, except when it's all been burnt off, in which case it'll grow back a little bit.
A little bit. Just so he looks like the Wolverine again.
Yeah, we can't have a bald Wolverine.
No, we have to have the mutton chops and the big bushy sideburns. Great big bushy beard. Love you, Dream Pod Rat. Crusty jugglers. All right, we've gotten off track. Yeah, surprise, surprise.
I know.
I don't know.
Well, if we're going to be going into the nitpicks, I actually have a couple of editing nitpicks.
Editing, okay, yeah.
And when I say editing, I mean mostly continuity.
Okay.
Shame
on you, script supervisor. That is your job.
I know. I always wonder about the person on set, because there's always a continuity person on set, as well as the editor is supposed to be working into making sure that any little niggles that get through are cut out as much as possible.
That must be hell on a Tarantino film. Like, what? Are we in the future, or are we in the past?
And of course, with
who are we supposed to see in the background? Who are we not supposed to see in the background?
Can you imagine, as well, a fight scene over several days where you've got this mass of bodies on the ground? Okay, these arms have to stay where they are.
I can't imagine doing, eating scenes, because the levels of soda and the level, how much food has been eaten every time.
That is why, if you actually look at a lot of films when people are eating, most of the time people are taking little bites, or you don't see the plate unless it's an important thing, like they're messing with their food.
Or they have a spit bucket as well, because they will get violently ill from eating 900 hamburgers in a day. Anyway, what were you saying about the editing?
Well, there were two things that I saw, and not only did I see, but my wife noticed, and that's something. She does not notice these things. number one, the scene where Wolverine and Mariko are in the summer house type thing. I can't remember exactly what it was. And they're eating the soup. I think it probably wasn't ramen or something, but it was something that
top ramen. It was some top ramen. Yeah, it was cup of noodles, I think. Actually.
And Wolverine sticks his chopsticks in the bowl, sticking up, and she points out that is not the thing to do. I believe it symbolizes either bad luck or death or something like that. And so she reaches over, takes them out, and puts them on the table. Mm-hmm. And then they continue to discuss everything, and they come to a point where Wolverine points out that he is definitely not Japanese, he's not all into the tradition, and it then cuts back to her and she says, yes, I know, and she reaches over, takes out the chopsticks and puts them on the table.
I thought of that, but it seems like they left an edit point in there where he could have put them in there while the camera was on her.
Well, that's the thing. That one was iffy for me, because it was like, okay, you never saw him put them in. So technically it's a continuity.
But it was a two-shot.
But
so
he could have done it, which is fair enough. Mm-hmm. However, my second continuity problem, unless she's the quickest person in the world at putting clothing back on, would not be possible. It's a point in the film where the Doctor basically reveals herself to the son of the grandfather who'd been basically trying to take over the company and all of this, and thinks he employed her to make sure that this stuff was happening, and she comes to kill him. And so she's walking into the room and she takes off her right glove. And then it cuts back to him saying something, cuts back to her, she takes off her right glove. She then takes a step forward, it then shifts a little bit to a different camera angle where she takes off her right glove. And and then she takes off her left glove. So she takes off that right glove three times in a matter of 10 seconds.
I am ashamed to say I did not notice that.
It was something, that was a point in the film where it was lagging enough that I was kind of like, okay, I know she's about to betray him, let's keep this going. And so that was more obvious to me because I wasn't as invested in that scene. Because, as I should have expected, I kind of knew where that scene was going from the start. But, so those were the two major areas that I saw looking at this thing. And if that's the worst thing I can say about this film, I don't think that's too bad, really. There were some really shocking continuity errors in it.
Yeah, every film's going to have those. The one that I almost laughed out loud at was near the end, where they realize they've taken her to this top secret. Well, I don't know, not necessarily top secret, but secluded fortress area. On the cliff, whatever. And that's where they got to get to. And meanwhile, their home is guarded by 1,000 ninjas. This you can apparently get in the back entrance by cutting a padlock.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is take a sword to a padlock, and you're in. It's like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know if you thought that, but I'm like, seriously?
It was,
a padlock? There's not a camera? There's not a security guard?
I know. There were loads of security guards, but no one watching a security feed of any kind, apparently.
I don't know. They were all on coffee break. But like, okay, she got into that rather easily. They decided they needed to move this movie on. We're getting her in here quickly.
Yeah, that was a bit of an odd thing where it was she's safe for most of the film, and they really dragged out that initial escape from the funeral where she's trying to be taken and then Wolverine gets to her.
I thought that was a pretty cool scene.
It was good. It was actually fairly exciting and loads of different things that they ended up doing with it, which is what you want in a fight/escape scene.
Oh, yes. I did like Ninja Hawkeye, as I was thinking of him. I'm like, ooh, Ninja Hawkeye, he's cooler than the real Hawkeye. But it was cool seeing the battle from up top and the battle on the streets. Yeah.
Although, this whole thing takes ages throughout the film, and then they capture her and tell Wolverine where she is and all this in pretty much about the same span of time as that escape scene. It was like, and now she's captured, and now Wolverine is getting better, and now they know they have to go and get her. Like, those three main things are all done in the same amount of time as saving her from the funeral. I thought that was a bit we've reached a point where we need to hurry this film up. No one's going to be sitting here for 2.5 hours. We got to get to the end.
I don't know. I loved the fight sequences. I thought they were great throughout, and it mixed one of my favorite genres as far as action goes, which is the martial arts films.
Yeah.
I don't care for them particularly for their stories. They're all avenging their father's death or brother's death or whatever. But it's just scenes are always well done. I think mostly, if you watch the older films or Bruce Lee film stuff. But this, I thought the fight sequences looked great with the swords and the staves, and not a lot of a lot of problems with Man of Steel. It was so just super Flash Gordon-y. You couldn't tell what the hell was happening at all.
Yeah.
But very well choreographed scenes. I don't know. I enjoyed that aspect 100%.
Yeah, it was really good. Most of the martial arts in this film were done well.
Mm-hmm.
And there were, as I said, a lot of differences in the fights at the funeral and getting away from the funeral, and they managed to dispatch more enemies in unique ways than I would have thought they would have been able to.
Yeah.
Knowing Wolverine and everything.
Speaking of unique ways, what do you think of the way they brought Wolverine down with the arrows?
Yeah, turning him into a hedgehog, basically.
A hedgehog or, a giant parade balloon.
Yeah.
With all the tethers. But, yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting. I thought they were going to be doing more of, let's say he's been caught 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then pull people along with them and then scramble around to get to, rather than just shot, 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 shot,
yeah.
shot, 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 shot.
It looked rather beautiful. I'm like, oh,
yeah, it was fantastic imagery when they actually did that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was one of those things where you could kind of tell it was matte painting and then this little zoomed out thing of where they were. But still, it was a wonderful, wonderful shot, I thought, of when he finally goes down and you see it from up high that he's...
Yeah, it was one of my favorite shots in the film, by far.
Alright, well, I want to go into the sort of last 20 minutes of this film.
20, okay,
now.
yes.
Basically the point where he's captured and they're attempting to cut his claws off from then on. So, he's in this chair and all of a sudden you realise, okay, this has all been building to this. Like, everything that's been going on has been building to they wanted Wolverine in that chair and they're going to do something to him. And then the gigantic suit of armor pops up, which...
The mini Jaeger, we'll call it.
Yeah, and so that pops up, gets out one of 2 swords which can glow burning hot. And the idea is they're going to chop his claws off.
There are worse things to have chopped off, fellas, let's be honest. But
then again, it's the only thing that doesn't go back.
So, I don't know about Wolverine, but yeah. Speaking for myself, yeah.
Yeah.
Take my claws, please.
So, when this started up, I just started thinking, oh, okay, they're kind of, for anyone that doesn't know too much, the Sentinel, basically giant robots that go around and their job, their mission in life is to exterminate all mutants. And
kill
what happened?
all humans.
I had a wonderful dream. I think you were in it. So, I thought, okay, maybe this is a precursor to it. They built this thing which is going to be going after Wolverine, and you're going to find out at the end that there's more stuff, and you find out very quickly that's not the case. And all of these things start happening so quickly that it really did... I had a little bit of trouble following some of it at times, because it was cutting between 3 different...
Well, you had Viper and what's-her-name's fight. Yukio or whatever, yeah.
Well, yeah, it was Viper and Yukio, but also Kanuchio was involved sometimes. Yeah. With that, sometimes with the other one.
Yeah, and then Wolverine and, giant armor guy. Yoshida. Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting, but I thought it was all too... This was one of those ones where it was all too predictable for me. It was, okay, he's lost one of his set of claws. Mm-hmm. He's now going after that guy. He is going to think he's beaten it, but it's actually not. The only thing I didn't figure out was that he would still be able to steal his healing power, but that's mainly because why the hell would I have known that?
I don't know, yeah.
The Viper lady is dead. No, she isn't. Oh, no, yes, she is. That was one of my notes.
It is a hanger. Just,
One of my notes, actually, I put down was just, oh no, not Viper Lady, anyone but that.
She was so important.
I know, we spent so long on her character.
I don't know. So, you didn't like the editing of the final scene? Like, what, you just would have liked it more linear? Or
I think that...
I actually would have liked faster edits in that.
Well,
because I was starting to think, well, what's happening with Viper and what's her name? Like, what's going on in that fight right now?
Well, that's the thing. I wasn't lost in... I didn't really know who it was, but I was lost in that they completely lost me in getting invested in the fight. Because I could tell how the Wolverine thing was going to go, because he lost one set of claws, but he was then going to beat the thing. Oh, wait, no, he didn't. Yes, he did in the end. Wolverine was going to win.
To be fair, you can say that of any hero movie. Yeah, it's a safe bet the hero is going to win.
Yeah, the hero will win at the end. Yeah. And unfortunately, the stereotype of most of these films is they think they win, they haven't, and then they find a way to win in the end as well, normally with the help of the heroine, which is what happens.
Maybe more of a problem with the formula than with the particular film.
Yeah, and then it was cut into the other fight, which I thought was too short. Maybe they'd run out of interesting choreography for that fight, but I think that fight was only a minute long in total, because you cut to it and they were fighting, and then you think she's dead, and then they spend a good 30 seconds on her shedding her skin and losing her hair, and then she comes back, and 30 seconds later she's dead again.
Dead.
Yeah. She didn't get better after that one.
No, that one was permanent, I believe.
Well, they didn't show her body at the end, so maybe
I don't know,
yeah. It was a little too formulaic for my liking, because the ex-boyfriend who was trying to win her back and went this wrong way, he had to die because he'd gone down the path of evil. And,
yes.
And in Japan, typically once you've committed great injustice, that bad thing will happen to you, and it's technically, I guess it was seppuku, just it wasn't him that did it. He was impaled.
Yes. Seppuku by cop.
So yeah, it was, as I said, just a bit too formulaic for my liking for that last scene, and I thought that the actual fighting was over too quick, especially given they were building this up as a big fight. The actual fighting was over quickly, and then they were into more dialogue, which again, I'm all for dialogue, but this was sort of more dialogue and more dialogue.
All right, so since I know that your answer isn't the Wolverine for this, thus far, I think now that we're probably through the bulk of the summer blockbusters, because they tried to get them out earlier, Yeah. What has been your favorite final sequence or scene? Was it Man of Steel, Iron Man 3, Star Trek? You got Pacific Rim in there.
Yeah. I wouldn't say Pacific Rim, because that was the only part of the film I had the issue with. Wormholes. Iron Man 3...
I thought that was a very interesting...
That was a good way to end it.
Yeah.
I didn't have too many problems with that one, and they were able to sort of go out on a more serious note, which I liked. Given how the Iron Man films were, I thought that was good. Let me just think quickly. It's going to be Russell. This is the end, of course. It was a fantastic last scene.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't throw that in. I don't know if I call that a summer blockbuster, but yeah.
No, yeah, I would class
more
that
along the lines of comedy, straight comedy, but
Into Darkness. That was a good film overall, and I wouldn't necessarily say my favorite ending. And Man of Steel,
I had a lot of problems with the Man of Steel.
Yeah, I think if
with the billions of dollars of collateral damage not mentioned, and the thousands of lives that Superman killed in order to save like 3 innocent people in a bank or wherever it was. But, see, that's what I liked about Iron Man 3. It was at like a dockyard or whatever, where there was no one going to get hurt except for the players involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Iron Man 3 is probably the best film wrap-up.
I would say, that was my favorite final fight, if you're going to say it, that way. But
yeah, it was a good way of getting all of the characters together and resolving as many of the plot lines as you could.
And having seen Pacific Rim prior to this was a little lackluster, a little after the fact to see like I said, mini Jaeger fighting a Wolverine. When I've seen 2 humongous, mecha warrior bots, whatever, fighting each other with giant swords as well. Not flaming, apparently. Unfortunately. The water would put them out.
Right. Yes, well, it's not quite as simple as just pressing the sword button.
The sword button, yes. Press the sword button. It's stuck. Who was eating peanut butter and jelly last time playing this game?
I still don't understand how they thought they could get away with that. Oh wait, we have one more weapon and it's a sword, and that line didn't come from the person who had been piloting the Jaeger. This Jaeger that was found not rebuilt, but re-armored and got ready to work again, and the first time it goes out is with him and the new person, and the new person knows more about the bloody Jaeger than he did.
Oh, we forgot about the death glare. Let's open the visors and give him the death glare, and it'll blow up instantly. Yes. How did we forget about it? Anyway, this film, Wolverine. I think I'm ready to wrap up my thoughts on this film.
Well, I was going to say the only thing we haven't really gone into, I suppose, would be the cameos at the end.
Interesting story on that. As most films, I have a very small bladder, folks, and I have to frequently visit the men's room prior to the film conclusion. So I was waiting for the film to conclude and ran out of the theater the second it hit black, and panned out. I'm like, okay, this is the end. And go to the bathroom and realize, I've lost my hat. I have not I need to go back into the theater.
Yeah.
What's this? So I did not see all of that.
Right. Where did you come in?
I came into Magneto is talking to Wolverine.
Okay.
And before it gets frozen, time gets frozen,
right.
And before Xavier rolls up.
Okay. All right.
Or Xavier, I'm sorry.
Well, you didn't miss too much. Basically, all that happens is film ends and Wolverine's lost his claws and whatever.
Well, he's got his bone claws.
Yeah, he's got the bone claws.
Bone claws are cooler, I think, anyway.
Yeah. Not as sturdy, but definitely cool. And I was actually thinking, are they somehow going to say, well, we have this little stockpile of adamantium left from building this thing, but no, they didn't. And so I'm wondering how they're going to go into the next film. Are they actually going to keep him without the metal claws, or are they going to try and get back to it as quickly as possible by having Magneto do something with it?
They will have, yes. There will be some Deus Ex Machina again.
Yeah.
Well, we got that fixed. Thank God we got into the adamantium, Doctor.
Yeah. I'll bet you anything it involves, maybe there's no more adamantium that they have access to, but Magneto will vibrate the metal in the skeleton enough that it will slowly come out and heat up and form around the bone, and so it'll be fine again.
Or they'll salvage the suit of armor. Yeah. That was falling off the cliff.
Which, to be fair, that is the most expensive scrap of heap in the entire planet, I think, at this point. But anyway, it comes up 2 years later, he's waiting in line.
Oh, does it say 2 years later?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And, he's waiting in line, and the guy comes up to him, and he's standing in front of the metal detector, and he says, pat down. Mm-hmm. And so, one guy says, he's gonna...
kind of a callback to earlier in the film, he says hip replacement.
Yeah. Yeah, so he said, we got it knocked out, and then the guy behind him said, no, which... The second I saw the hat and the fact that you couldn't see his face, I was like, that's Magneto. And so you do see Wolverine bring out the claws, and you see it's the bone claws now, and that's what he's left with. And then talk, and Xavier turns up. Now, do you have any questions about the fact that Xavier turns up?
I did not understand anything that happened in that last scene.
Okay.
Nothing. I need spoon-fed.
All right. Well... I do not know enough to know if these are technically connected, but you do see a news report that mentions Trask Industries, and they're talking about a threat to all, the biggest threat that's ever happened. And I actually mentioned it earlier, the only thing that has ever occurred which is that big a threat to all mutants, and they had to band together, is the Sentinels. I think that and the alien who is able to control matter and space and time with his mind. So, unless they're going to go with Galactus, or whatever it is, it's not Galactus, that would be the other thing. Never mind, people are going to rip my head off for this one. Unless it's going to be that guy, then it's going to be the Sentinels are being built. And I think that is what it is, because they mention a weapon.
Okay.
So that's probably what they're going with.
But what my question is, was this scene playing out in Wolverine's Mine?
No, this is actually happening.
And happening. So how is Xavier there?
There it is.
When he got pulled to pieces.
Yeah.
And I know he says something like, "Well, did you think you're the only one with powers, or whatever?" But I'm sorry, you got pulled to pieces. Either you exist in his subconscious or in his brain like Jean, or you're dead.
There's a scene at the end of the credits or at the middle of the credits in the third film. I know you hated the third film, so you probably don't remember.
I didn't hate it. I didn't love it.
Okay, don't know that.
So, I was nothing with it.
At the beginning of that film, Xavier is talking to his students about whether or not it's ethical to put someone's mind who is in a body that's failing into the body of a man whose mind is gone but his body is fine.
I do recall that now.
And
I do,
in the credit scene,
it's been so many years, yes.
In the credit scene, you see the nurse tending to the person about to leave, and you hear Xavier's voice saying hello.
Yes,
so
yes, I do recall that now.
He is apparently now in that person's body.
But
now,
how does he look like Patrick Stewart?
Exactly. The only thing I can think of is that he is either he's walking around but projecting the fact that he's in a wheelchair and or he is in a wheelchair but projecting his old image over himself. Yeah. So he must be projecting his old self onto his new body. I would imagine he's still in a wheelchair just to make sure that that's all that's all fine. But
he's just gotten used to being lazy. Let's be honest.
True.
It pushed me around.
Yeah. But so I'm interested to see how they go with that. I really thought that they were going to end that little scene because it looked like they were building up to it, and they just weren't. You don't see Xavier, but you see the other two see him as he is, and they react to it, or at least Wolverine reacts to it, because I'm sure Magneto's seen it by now. But they it was kind of odd. It was that whole thing of like, the world's in danger, and then it kind of zooms in slowly on Magneto and Wolverine, and they're in black. There wasn't much of a reaction from either of them. It was just, here they are, they're here. Okay, good.
See him. We know these guys. Recognize them? Are you sure? Okay. See you in a couple of years.
Yeah. New film coming. New film.
Yeah. So that was fortuitous. At least I got to see that, or most of that.
Yeah. You didn't miss that much of it. So you got the.
I figured there might be a button, but I was like, bladder's more important.
You got the important.
Yes.
Well, that's kind of good, because that would have been not as interesting to sit here and just describe it to you.
Yeah, so like having seen none of that. Yeah. So. Luckily, yes. I forgot my hat for a reason.
Right.
So, I don't know. Ratings, I guess. Yeah. As excited as that sounded.
Oh, yes.
I think I went first last time.
Yeah, I'll go first. I will probably give this film an overall rating of I'm going to say minus 1.5.
Wow.
Now...
That's high, I think, to me. I don't know.
Yeah,
or high expected from your review.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, most of my gripes with this film were the little continuity edits and the fact that it was slow-paced in my opinion. The actual acting and the story, I didn't have that much of a problem with. I mean, I'm sure if I see it again, I might put it down to a -2 just because of that final fight scene is not only kind of all over the place, but predictable at the same time, which doesn't make sense if I say it out loud, but that is what it felt like to me. But that is going to be also my personal rating for it. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing the X-Men again. As much as I like Wolverine, I think the character of Wolverine works best when he's playing off of the straight guys.
Yes, he needs the sarcastic quips. And, that's kind of the part I was missing in this film of his
He needs
character.
someone to call Bub.
Bub. Yeah. I think this is a great film to look at. Yeah. It's a fun viewing experience. For me, I think you summed it up with one word there, predictable. Yeah. The love story was predictable. Like I said, with the chess pieces out there, I saw where it was going once the first act was complete, or maybe before that. I mean, I don't know how things are going to happen, obviously, but they're going to happen. Like, at some point, he's going to really be down and really be out of the game, and he's going to find a way, and then guess who, Japanese girl, number 2, is going to show up, miraculously and help. So I saw where that was going. Still fun to watch. I still enjoyed the film, but like I said, there were no real shocks in it for me. But I mean, I don't know if I should rate this against other X-Men films. Like I said, I've already told you where I stand on that.
Yeah. I would just try and rate it
As a viewing experience, I'm going to be a little harsher, and I'm going to say a -3.
Okay.
-3. I like that's still like in my book a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
You know, good film. I'll watch it again. It's nothing I'm going to rush out and buy.
No,
right away. It's not anything I'm going to have on that Tuesday it comes out.
Yeah, I'm sure my wife will get it once it's in the, say, $10 bin.
$10 or less. I'm on it. Yeah, I'm on it. And especially if it's got some good specials. Or, good bonuses always help. But, I like me some commentaries. But, yeah, that's where I stand on it, a -3.
Alright.
You have a Netflix recommend?
I do. Again, this is something that I'm about halfway through. But for me, being a fan of film and TV and the behind the scenes and stuff like that, this is actually being a really fun thing to watch. It's called That Guy Who Was in That Thing. And it's basically a documentary following 10...
Ron Howard's brother?
Following 10 or so actors who...
Steve Buscemi?
May have been in long-running series or had multiple parts in film, but you have no idea what their name is. All of those people that are typically the recurring roles.
No, you should have pretended to forget what the name of the show was called.
I did.
That
thing that's on Netflix.
That thing about that guy in that thing. What's it called? The guy in that thing. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, there's.
So it's a doc. Is it episodic or it's just a full length? Okay, yeah, full length documentary.
One of the people they actually interview is Stanley Kimmel or whatever. He was the guy who played the psychiatrist in Monk, among other things. Okay,
I've seen a few Monks.
And this
Not
was
real Monks, but a few episodes of Monks. I don't want to Monk.
Right.
I want to clarify.
Right. He unfortunately died of a heart attack in 2008, and I think from the looks of him in this documentary, this was one of the last things he was really interviewing for.
So is that just archival footage, or is it this documentary dated to around that time?
This is specific. I think the documentary came out in 2009, so I think they got all of his stuff.
Yeah,
and it's interesting to see all of these people talk about the process of getting into these things. Like they interview an agent who says that, let's say you're going for a pilot, you'll be one of 100 people that are auditioning, and then if they like you, you'll come back and be one of 20 people that are auditioning. If they like you, you'll come back and be one of 6. Then you'll go to the network executives. If they like you, you'll be one of 3. If they like you, then you'll be one of 2. Then you will get a phone call. Then you will do the pilot, and then you will wait for 3 months to see if it gets picked up. And this is what they do.
Let's leave some for the folks.
Yeah, and this is the sort of stuff they do over and over, and it's fantastic to listen to these people explain what this lifestyle is.
All right, fair enough. I don't know if this is a sleeper thing. I think it's quite what I'm going to say is from what all accounts, widely popular, but I've just gotten into it, and it's called another Netflix original, Orange is the New Black. Series.
I have been wanting to get into that.
It is amazing. I'm 4 episodes in, actually about 4.5. Yeah, I had to cut the other one short here to get here,
right.
And I'm going to go home and finish it when I go home. But it's created by the Weeds creator Genji Cohen, who I was really on board for like the first 4 seasons of Weeds. Then it got a little crazy for me. I don't know if you ever watched Weeds, but I liked it. I liked the appeal of the suburban mom dealing drugs. That was kind of cool. But then it got to be, they're killing a drug lord every week. And they're, attacking cartels and things like that. And I'm like, this isn't what I fell in love with.
Yeah.
But this, very short, 13 episodes, whatever. I don't know if there's going to be a second season or not, but...
probably, given the praise.
But, I've talked to some guys who are like, they were apprehensive because, it's a chick show. It's a chick show. It's extremely well written. It's extremely well acted. You have Jason Biggs, as much as I've enjoyed him since like the first American Pie.
Yeah.
He's very much Jason Biggs. That's some kind of American Pie things happening, but I'm not going to describe it too much, but 5 years after, she had a lesbian relationship, and 5 years later down the road, she's going to start this new life with this Jason Biggs, and someone, has named her as helping this lesbian friend carry, she carried a suitcase with some drug money or something at one time. So now she's got to serve 18 months in jail. Huh. And, so it's her that was becoming acclimated to this lifestyle. Each episode kind of goes into back history. They kind of take on a new inmate, or an inmate you've seen in a couple episodes, and what brought them there, like their backstory, and it's very, very well done. It's poignant, it's got heart to it, there are genuine laughs to it, and genuine emotions to it. Like, you feel the despair these people must be in, and it's genuinely funny. I highly recommend it, so check that out. That's all my bit on that. So
fair enough. That has been in my queue for a while. It just depends on whether or not Jamie feels up for watching it, but I'm sure I'll get around to watching it somehow.
It's very well done. Good job, Netflix. So your original content is up there for me.
And now all you have to do is what everyone just wants you to do and pick up Firefly. Come on.
Oh, please.
Yeah. You brought back Arrested Development, for God's sake.
And before we go, we'd be remiss if we did not mention my buddy Dustin podcast.
Yeah, Voice Activated.
It's called Voice Activated. It's him and a friend of his, Phil. And they talk about all manners of things. Where we are like, strictly film review. They talk films, music, art, happenings in their lives, whatever they feel like they want to discuss. It'll be on there. Yeah. It is a much shorter style. So if you're looking for something on a shorter commute to work, they run about 20 minutes. Nice bite-sized. They're enjoyable to listen to. So strongly recommend that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Go to them. Tell them we sent you.
Yep, and they've been great friends of our podcast, so check them out.
Yeah, we're looking forward to attempting some sort of collaboration at some point in the future.
Yes, we will have a Happy Days style crossover, something with Laverne and Shirley or whatever. I don't know if that happened, but you got what I'm going for. Yeah, we'll do a crossover.
I would have gone with the Frasier, where they end up getting everyone from Cheers in it at some point. And that's just because I'm rewatching all Frasier right now, so there we go.
All right. Is out. Alright. I think that's gonna do it for us. Is that about right, Paul? Sound good to you?
Yeah, I haven't got it.
Alright. I gotta go see some Orange is the New Black again, so. Alright. I've been Brian.
And I've been Paul.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.